Hey, welcome to Veryfi Embedded. My screen probably looks like yours, so let's jump straight in and create a campaign. So I'm just going to hit this create my first loyalty campaign button right here. And this is a five-step process. The first step is very general. So, let's just say some information about this campaign. So let's just say we're going to do a soup campaign, right? We're going to give it a start and end date. So let's just start it today because we want to get going straight away. We're going to run it for about 4 weeks. So I've put in an end date at the end of this month. Time zone is automatically detected, so I don't have to do anything here. It's going to be a point system, a campaign. My budget is going to be, I don't know, let's just say $10,000. Volume will go for about 1 million. Now, the hosting website question is really important. I'm going to host my loyalty program on the veryfi.com website. You do it on your own website. So you're going to put in your own domain name. Let's just say you want to take advantage of any sort of subdomain name, just put in a star right there, just like that. Now, this is super important because it's protection for basically your campaign, because you don't want anyone else to be able to copy your code and run this program on their website. The owner is automatically extracted. You can obviously change this, to the proper name. So that's it for this for step one. So let's go to step two, which is the exciting step. This is where we're gonna create a form. So this is what we're going to be. What data do we want to capture during this? When this campaign runs on your website, you're going to have a form with receipt capture. You want to ask some questions maybe to the user, like demographic information. So just to make things easy, I'm going to start with a demo setup, right? So you preloaded all of the different forms. Now, I don't really care about the occupations. I'm just going to remove that. The year of birth, don't care about it. Gender, I don't care about it either. So I want to capture the first name, the last name, email address, phone, zip, and there's the receipt camera. So that's an important piece because we want to ask the user to hold up the receipt to the camera so the system can capture it and we can extract all the data. Now I'm going to remove the option to allow receipt uploads. And there we go. The only thing I want to do is modify the terms and conditions because I want that to go to my website. And as you can see, I can actually click on that little pen icon just everywhere here and change the email address field name. I can change, the first name, right? I can, if I want, I can actually even change, the field names here, ABC. And all of it's configurable. If I'm collecting, for example, date of birth, I can also select the date range. So play around with all the different tools that are available. These tools are very simple. It's just a matter of clicking on one of the fields you want. It slides in. It gives you, some sort of you can see the name that it created is very rough. So just click on edit and I can change that to, I don't know, date of birth, for example, right? And I can make it required as well. But if I was using date of birth, I'd most likely use the date picker for that instead. So play around with it. This is where you spend most of your time creating the experience your customer or the prospect will be engaging with. So let's just remove that new field. I'm happy to go ahead with this sort of setup on my canvas. I'll click on next. Now this is the rules section. So now that we've defined what the program is like, we've defined what the canvas is going to look like. Now we need to put some validation around it, right? Because we're only going to be able to incentivize the end user when they've met a certain, a bar. And one of that bar might be, I will only accept receipts with the word soup, or should I say the product soup in the line items, right? So where basically the system will automatically check the line items on the receipt and it will look for these keywords. Now, this could also be your brand name that you could be looking for. It could be a specific name of your product. Just for demo purposes, I'm using a very generic name like soup. Now, if I wanted to restrict it to certain vendors, let's just say I only want to distribute this to, I only want to honor receipts from Safeway, then I would put in Safeway right here. But because I'm going to leave it blank, that means it's open to everyone. Now, when the word soup appears in the line items, this is what the success message will look like. And then if it doesn't, is what the failure message will look like, right? Programs have to be validated automatically in real time. And that's what we're doing up here. We're validating and giving the user a message on what happens next. Now, further down, we've got fraud detection capabilities. So, things like allow duplicates. Now, we obviously don't want to allow duplicates in this example. Most loyalty programs will not will have this basically turned on because you don't want people to submit multiple times with the same receipt, right? And so this will make sure that that doesn't happen. We want to turn on fraud controls. So we want to put on average. Now you can click on these links here and read more about how the fraud detection works. But essentially, we've got a very advanced algorithm that will look for things like manipulation on the receipt, right? Whether it's handwritten, whether it's photoshopped, or any sort of digital backgrounds were modified. I like to keep it at orange because it gives me a bit of wiggle room. Sometimes some receipts might come, receipts will probably look fake, but that might not be. So if you keep it on orange, that's always safe. If you want to get a bit more aggressive, you can go up to high and, on that level, but I like to keep it on orange. And then, there's a lot of these generated receipts now. So I want to make sure I look out for those because I don't want people using generated receipts. I actually want people buying the product. So that's the fraud section. Feel free to reach out and talk to us. We can help you more and explain how all of this works. But the last bit here is campaign protection. So I want to make sure that this program starts and ends on the dates which I specified at the beginning, right? I don't want the program to run longer than the date that I specified because I want it to finish and I want to measure the results of that program. I also want to control the program, so I only want to allow one email registration per user. So like if someone tries to submit with my email address, it might not work if I've already submitted. So I'm going to control the distribution per email address. You can also do unlimited, which turns that number to -1. That means unlimited. But again, for my case, I want to do one, or I could do two if I wanted to. If I wanted to allow the same person to submit twice for this campaign. And because I have, allow duplicates, I just realized we don't want to allow duplicates. But because I have allowed duplicates turned, I'm not allowing duplicates, I could actually raise that to 2 and say to the user, you can submit twice, but it has to be with a different receipt, right? Or I could get really strict and say only one email address and one unique receipt. The last setting that I've got here is limit per campaign. I've got it to unlimited because I will have the start and end date checks doing all the checking for me. But, in the beginning, I think as I said, I want to do about 1 million registrations. So I could, put 1 million here. And this will be just another limit that's going to click in and also shut down the campaign. So the campaign could actually shut down earlier if we hit this limit before the end date has been hit. All right, so there might be a bit of complexity here. Hopefully all of that makes sense, but feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. All right, now we'll go to the next step, and that's it. Okay, so that took me, about 8 minutes to get through, which is pretty fast. Now, this is the campaign unique code. I will show you where you can get this code as well, but this is the code you're going to use when you're embedding the technology into your website. So you see that we've got multiple different integration options here. You can provide this piece of code to your developer and have them basically integrate that onto your website, which will generate the whole form. Or you could use one of the plugins. And we do have a WordPress plugin, which is, it's as simple as installing that for your WordPress website, plugging in this campaign code, and then everything magically will light up. All right, so that's it. I've now created my campaign. I will save it. And you're going to see the campaigns page change, right? So now you've got one registration here. I can always go back in by clicking that little pen icon here and start modifying, if something was wrong, I can change the start and end dates here. And the cool thing about it is that you can do this while the program is running. So you're not limited to changing your campaign when it's not running. Now, we don't have any overview information here. This is where the charts will get generated once you have more data, so I can sort of hide that. And these even statistics, they don't really show you too much when you've only got one program running. There's another video where I will show you how all of this looks. You can also see how all of it looks with a lot of data. Or you can also go to the Veryfi website and have a look at the page on Veryfi Embedded. A few other things worth mentioning though is you can, for every campaign you can actually click this little button here. You can edit the campaign, you can clone it. Cloning is really cool because you can then clone what's, it took us about 8 minutes to build, and you clone it in an instant. So let me just quickly clone it. Yes, let's clone it. Boom, right? So now I have this campaign. I have A and B, and now I can run A/B testing on my loyalty programs. I can do a small modification to the clone campaign. I can even go in and change the name of this campaign. Even though it says clone of, I can call it, let's just say, Soup Campaign B, right? And then I go across, and you see, because I've cloned everything, all of the form canvas was also cloned. In case you're wondering how this form would look, you can actually click on the little icon here right there for the eyes, and that opens up this embedded demo form page. So what you're looking at is the form that will generate is right here. You see the camera will be embedded, and then on the right hand side you can actually see the type of data that's going to get captured. Have a look at another video where I actually go into the detail of this, of all the data fields. It's really powerful, the amount of data you can capture with the system. So let's just quickly jump back to the canvas. The 7 elements here, right? So let's just move to the next page. Everything looks good. You can see that everything was nicely copied across, right? And what's different this time is the campaign code. The campaign code is going to be different than the previous one. So let's just quickly save that. And that's it. So it's that simple. Once you start to get data, you're going to see that the registrations will start to uptick itself, and you'll be able to click on it and start really drilling into all of the data that you're collecting. So there's another video on that. I'll show you that video, but hopefully this was helpful and educational. Thank you.